Welcome, Adam Epstein, all the way from, what city are you in right now?
Oh man, I'm losing track on a daily basis. I think we're in Portland at the moment.
All right, Portland, Oregon, but your hometown, of course, is
New York City.
New York City. This is Adam Epstein. You're the head editor, lead editor at Saturday Night Live?
I'm just the editor on the film unit. So at SNL, there's a couple teams. There's the film unit, which is our group, which is our director is Reese Thomas. He's also the film producer on the show, and our producer is Justice McClarty. He's an amazing producer, and our DP is Alex Bono.
So, you know, comedians always complain that they're expected to be funny all the time. They have to not just deliver stand-up comedy, but they have to write funny. As an editor on a comedy program, do you kind of have to be funny?
I don't know if it's like a have to be. I think it's just kind of conducive in the environment there. My sensibilities default to comedy to begin with. So for me, anytime that I can be like adding a joke to an already good joke, that's my favorite thing to be doing. It's writing on top of already good writing, ideally.
That's an interesting concept as editor, writing on top of good writing. Are you present as the films are being written? Are you present on the set for input as what to get done in post?
So yeah, so writing-wise, no, all the scripts on the show are written on Tuesday night, and that's everything. That's the live pieces, that's the film pieces, and I also want to emphasize too that the film pieces are great, but Saturday Night Live at its core is still a live show.
Sure.
And the film pieces, like, not saying the only reason they exist, but one of the main reasons they exist is to give at the live show a bridge for the crew and the sets and hair and makeup to have a transition period between sketches. That is a definite function that they serve. But no, so the writers write everything on Tuesday, and then I'm on set depending on when our shoot is happening. We shoot everything on Friday, so the day before. If it's a later shoot and we're not moving around to too many locations, I'll be on set, starting to kind of break down footage on a laptop as we're getting and starting to assemble right there. And then as far as input there, though, I'll sometimes be talking with Reese, but they're usually going so fast, and I'm trying to just stay up to camera that if something's totally not working, or if we have time to maybe pick something up, then I'll maybe say something, but it's normally just kind of working straight ahead.
Well, let's talk about Cutting Edge. So this MZ educational organization has hooked up with some big names in the past, and added now to that list is your big name. What's your seminar all about?
Sure. So, I mean, from a big kind of umbrella over everything, it's basically we want to be thinking about throughout the day is like, what does it even mean to really be an editor today? It used to be that, you had rhythm sense and you knew how to cut story and you understand when something was working, and that's still, the core of it all. But at the same time now, just people, because of the tools, and rightfully so, they expect a lot. So when they say, I'm looking for an editor, that often means looking for someone who can cut, but is also a sound designer, and is also a compositor, and also knows how to color, and also, is an armchair psychiatrist, and knows how to deal with people. And that's all true. And, at the show, I often have to be kind of wearing multiple hats and jumping back and forth between all this stuff, just based on our timeline. So what we're doing is kind of using the context of SNL and projects that I've worked on to kind of show, in a kind of not a broad picture, but getting very specific sometimes, and then sometimes being a little broader as far as like, here are all the things that you might be encountering nowadays. Here are ways that you can just be taking whatever you're given and make it better. I think that's now just what being an editor really means, using whatever tools, whether it's sound, whether it's color, like how are you just making whatever you were given better, basically. And the main thing, though, that we want to be focusing on is less the how, although the how is definitely important. But this is not going to be a watch tutorials on YouTube type of thing. So we're going to be looking at the how, but it's also mainly the why. Like, why do we do something? Context.
On September 5th is when our South Florida viewers can check out Adam Epstein's Cutting Edge post-production tour by the MZ organization. Go to cuttingedge.mz.com to register. They're touring all over. He's in Portland now, Fort Lauderdale on September 5th. That was a look at what you might be able to expect. Adam, I'd like to talk to you about sort of a major event in the video world, specifically in the cutting edge post-production world. The end of Final Cut 7. When you started at SNL, what were you guys editing on?
We were on Final Cut 7 when I started there.
I mean,
my
that was such a
background initially was in Avid from commercials, but then I was doing a lot of Final Cut jobs as well.
Sure. So this was such a big deal. It showed up on Conan's show, where
Yeah.
they made that tribute to Final Cut X sort of thing. How, if at all, did the end of Final Cut 7 affect the show, and what kind of tools are you using now?
It didn't really affect us directly. We kind of forced the issue on our own towards the end of not last season and not the season before, but the end of the season prior to that.
Okay.
It was mainly because I was doing a lot of After Effects work, and that, with our timeline, kind of just pushed us to be switching to Premiere and the kind of Creative Cloud for the integration perspective. And that's what we're using now, specifically. That being said, and I want to make this perfectly clear, use whatever program you like. You can make great work, whatever you are doing. The last thing I want to get into, especially on the tour, is an NLE flame war, because that is very, very silly. But no one is going to look at your final project and be like, I could tell that was cut on Final Cut 10. Right? No one's going to say that.
Right.
It's all footage. It's all tools. Use whatever works for you. I can only speak to what works for us in our timeline.
So that actually brings up an interesting point we've asked of a few of our guests. Like when we had Vincent Laforet on, he was doing an MZ tour about motion and moving the camera. Mm-hmm. And he called out this car commercial, this Bentley commercial that was all shot on an iPhone. And he said, look, you can do such great work even shooting video on an iPhone.
Totally.
But I pointed out, yeah, it was an iPhone, but the guys had a $20,000 Movi rig that they were using to
Right.
get in and out of the cars. So I'd like to hear your take on this a question. DPs, industry folks like to come in and say, it's not about the tools you use, it's about the story you tell, et cetera. You don't need $1,000 to go out and rent the best camera. What do you have to say to that debate?
Sure. I'll say a lot of times when people say
By
that.
the way, we rent cameras for a living here, so just keep that
There
in
you
mind.
go. No. I'm not going to say don't get a camera. What I was going to say is oftentimes I think people give, when they're telling that kind of the storytelling angle of it, they're pushing maybe that a little, not too hard, because you obviously need that, and you need that in spades. That being said, good gear is still great. What I will say sometimes is I think the ratio that people put on where they're spending their money is a little misplaced.
Where would they be better off adding to their budget?
I would say for people, especially when they're starting out, take half the money that you're going to be putting towards the camera and half that, and put the rest of that to good sound and to good art direction and props and just locations. Because
Storytelling. Basic
Yep.
Storytelling 101, huh?
If you have, a $50,000 camera with the best lens ever and you're shooting in a white box apartment, it's going to look like a white box apartment. In that case, I would rather someone shoot on an iPhone and put that money they spent in the camera to like a nice art directed set and some good sound, So I'm not saying don't spend money. You do have to spend money to get really nice stuff.
Lots of money.
Yeah, less so than now. But I think the problem comes now, it's not so much that people don't want to spend money, it's that when they do, they're misplacing kind of where they put it, if that makes any sense.
Fair enough. Hey, man, I know you got a lot more cities on your tour. You're about to catch a plane to your next one. Where are you headed now?
San Francisco.
All right.
California.
Our Florida and Caribbean viewers are anxiously awaiting your September 5th arrival to the Fort Lauderdale Convention Center to check out the cutting-edge post-production tour with SNL film unit editor Adam Epstein.
Nailed
Thank you
it.
so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.